What's up, everybody? Welcome to this live watch along here of the Love is Blind Season 6 reunion special. Look, I don't know if anybody is going to tune in and join me and hang out and watch this stuff. This is something new I'm trying here on the Outlaw Nation channel. Let me adjust my camera just a little bit closer. Oh, it's a little too much closer, too closer. You can see too many of my chins there. Let's go backwards a little bit, maybe somewhere in the middle there. Yeah, there we go. All right, anyway, I am here to do a live watch along of Season 6, the reunion special, which is happening tonight. For those of you who don't know, this may be something really weird and crazy for you all to understand or to grasp or to accept about the outlaw John Rocha, but Love is Blind is one of the rare reality shows that I absolutely thoroughly loved. I do watch Amazing Race. I do watch other shows, but Love is Blind is the show that absolutely gets me every time. I've watched all 6 seasons. I'm a mad addict to this show. And this season has absolutely been the craziest season that we have had for so many reasons. Here, of course, the show hosted by Nick and Vanessa Lachey. Whatever your feelings are about them as hosts, I guess you're allowed to have your feelings about them as hosts. I don't think they're that great on the show, and I think what we've seen every season is we see less and less of them on the show, but they're certainly going to be running the reunion special tonight. I saw the season 1 of Love is Blind for Sweden. The Lady Outlaw and I, we turned on the English audio, turned on the English subtitles, and we were able to watch that whole season, and we had a great time with that season. Just absolutely loved that season, and I thought the host for season 1 of Sweden was fantastic. So hopefully, down the road, maybe. I doubt it, though, because Nick and Vesson make so much money doing the show. They'll explore that possibility for sure. But this season 6 was the most dramatic of all the seasons. I thought the craziest of all the seasons for sure, for a number of reasons. Got to start off with Jimmy and Chelsea. First off, I mean, those two going at it all the time with Chelsea's insecurity, Chelsea's issues with him, Jimmy, not 100% being on board with this. And of course, we know about the Megan Fox debacle, but it seemed clear from the hug that Jimmy wasn't 100% into Chelsea, and that really ramped up Chelsea's insecurity. So you could default and blame Chelsea if you wanted to, but I also felt like Jimmy carries a lot of the blame with this as well, especially in that finale episode where we saw him confronting her and being like, hey, what's your answer going to be? Yes or no? And it was yes. And then he's like, well, mine is no. And let me tell you why. And I saw some awesome TikTok videos doing parodies of that exchange between them there. So we're going to see what happens with them tonight. We don't know. The other couple that made it to the altar, but then it was not a success. Is AD and Clay. And AD, of course, completely giving herself to Clay and buying into the entire relationship, really giving of herself through the whole season, really just completely committing to the relationship and putting everything out on the line, but not 100% getting it back. And Clay constantly talking about cheating on her and talking about his dad, who had cheated on her, on his mom, and had taken him to some of these cheating sessions, apparently, which was something we found out in the finale at the wedding reception that his mom did not know and confronted him about it to Clay's father. And then Clay's reaction to it all in the end did not choose AD. But Clay kind of thought, well, I can still play it both ways. Like, we don't have to get married today, but maybe we get married later on. Maybe we could try this out. And of course, AD was not having it. Now, from what we've seen from the reunion trailer, they're sitting next to each other. He does say she's the greatest mistake he ever made. Does that mean they're back together? A lot of questions when you're looking at what's going to happen here with AD and Clay. And AD, another woman who clearly suffered from insecurity issues. And she suffered from something that I used to suffer from way back when, and that is you changing yourself to fit your other person's needs, right? And if you're constantly doing that, you're not going to be an effective partner, and you're going to get upset at your partner. You're not going to be happy with your partner, and you're not going to be happy with yourself in the long run. And your partner eventually is going to leave you because your partner doesn't see you as an individual. They see you as just someone who caters to their needs. And eventually that partner will leave you because it gets to be annoying, it gets to be exhausting, it gets to be frustrating. So I hope AD is doing the work to find the belief and love for herself, because that's what kind of pulled me out of that hole when I was in a really bad place about these about relationships and what have you, was kind of walking into some really tough therapy to find out where all this insecurity stemmed from. And once I found out where it all stemmed from, it allowed me to walk into a new relationship like I've had now for the last 6 years and be a very open, receptive, vulnerable, and respected person in the relationship. And by that, I mean, I have needs, I have wants, and they deserve to be met just as much as my partner's needs and wants. And there's a coming together of that. And yeah, sometimes you're going to have battles, sometimes you're going to have disagreements, but it's a better way to function in a relationship, an open, honest, loving, caring relationship where you express your needs, express what's going on not in an angry or abusive way, but you actually just explain it, and it comes from a real place. And you find that the partner can speak with you as Lady Outlaw does, and you have the emotional vocabulary to get through the stuff. So I hope AD does find that, or we find out what's happened with that. So the other big one we got to talk about here is Brittany and Kenneth. Now, Kenneth was, is a principal at a school. Brittany and him got together. They seemed, when they were, I think it was in the Dominican this year or one of those places, they seemed like they were 100% into each other. And then as soon as they got back into the city, I think it was in North Carolina, in Charlotte, he started playing on his phone the whole time and didn't really give her the attention that she wanted, and then kind of gaslighted her at the end and made her break up with him. So he didn't have to be the bad guy on camera. But he was still, for those of us who are well aware of relationships, he was very much the bad guy. And there's a lot of rumors that he was possibly closeted. There are a lot of rumors that he had someone else on the side already. And certainly his female friend picking him up. The way he bounced out of there, he had pretty much had this whole thing planned of breaking up with her. So it was a pretty brutal ending to what seemed like a very locked in couple. And I wondered in the Lady Outlaw, we watched these episodes as well. We wondered if maybe AD telling Kenneth that, hey, are you sure this white woman is ready to raise black children? Are you sure? And I wonder if that maybe affected Kenneth, that emotionally messed with him, that maybe made him realize, oh, maybe I need to be with a black woman so I don't have to deal with that situation. I don't know. Just throwing it out there, because he seemed to change after AD confronted him with that when they were on their final days there in the Dominican, I think is where they were. So we'll see what happens with them. The other big drama, of course, Jeramey. Jeramey here, you can see him with Sarah and Bick. And Jeramey, of course, had gotten together with Laura, and those two had hit it off and had some interaction, shall we say, and connections. But then Jimmy got into the parking lot and was there till 5 a.m. on one of these nights, tried to claim that he wasn't where he was, tried to claim that Laura didn't know what she was talking about. But Laura tracked his phone because Jeramey is clearly a moron and wanted to get caught and wanted out of the relationship. And then when you saw them at the barbecue and then Sarah showed up, and to AD's credit, AD confronted Sarah about it. It became a whole drama, but clearly those two don't seem to care. And from what I understand from stuff I've seen on social media or people speculating, that Sarah Ann may be a big MAGA person, so that might have factored into all of this as well. Maybe Jeramey is one of those MAGA people as well. Yeah, and here's the picture of them at the reunion, getting together, riding off in their jet skis. And as we saw in the preview, they're clearly going to have some issues with each other that they're going to work out. So this is going to be an interesting situation overall to see how this turns out with Jeramey and with Sarah Ann on the reunion. Oh, we've already started. Sorry, guys, we've already started. All right. Let's switch on over here. And I'm sure there's going to be more to take a look at here. I'm going to refresh my Netflix, and I'm going to watch this thing, and I'll give us a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown, and we'll go from there and start. So let's see here. Where are we at? Oh, season 6. Got to get on to season 6. And I'll do it, like I said, I'll do a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and then I will do time codes as we go along. This reunion is it looks like 97 minutes. So for those of you who are going to be watching with me, I appreciate it madly. Here we go. All right, let me bring it up. Let me bring it up a little bit bigger. Let me not have the sound too high up because I don't want to get into too much trouble here with Netflix or with anything going on with YouTube. So, but as I said, as I always have with these live shows, if you want to send your Streamlabs and Super Chats as we go along, please feel free to do so. And I should put my face back up here so you can see me reacting to it. I obviously won't be playing the video on camera because if I play the video on camera, I will get in trouble and I will have this video taken down. But I will watch along and I will give you time codes as we watch along because I can't wait to watch this thing. And thank you to everybody who's joined me. Celia saying, John, I had no idea you watched Girl. I've watched all 6 seasons. all 6 seasons. I love the tea on this show. This is the one show where I get to indulge my little gossipy heart. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what we're getting in the reunion. Thanks to Planet Yavin. Thanks to HB. And yes, this was pre-recorded, but this is a live watch along. So in a way, my words are right, HB. So I appreciate you calling out. But anybody who's coming on to watch this, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit a like on this video, leave your comments in the comments section if you're watching this later. And of course, the live chat. I'm looking forward to seeing what you all think. So, all right. Yeah, well, I pinned it in the chat, right? The other thing, I wanted to make sure that I pinned it in the chat so that you all know what we got going on here on the Outlaw Nation channel, and you can send in your Streamlabs and Super Chats as we go along. I just want to make sure I have that up, and it is pinned, yes, and we'll add some ads as we go along as well for those people who might not be aware of that. We do that here. So, all right, let's start this thing in 3, 2, 1, go. And let me know if I go black, because sometimes the bat, and then we can slowly start to work on leaving people with a positive impression about the show, because we want people to come back for season 7, which I think is the DC season, Cheryl. So there you go with that one. And so we'll see how that turns out overall for that season, because obviously that's been shooting. People are already posting pictures and what have you, and we'll see how much truth there is to all these other things that are going on with these relationships and where they end up and who ends up together. Obviously you saw season 4, season 5 with Mike, and it's not on the same season, but do they get together in perfect match? Do they meet other people in perfect match? I don't know. We'll see. But clearly this is a show that understands, like, it's gotten a lot of shit in the press and in the public, although the numbers have gone up this season, because last season was a fucking train wreck. This was a better season for sure, but it was full of a lot of drama. So I think they spent the last part of this episode purposely trying to leave people with a happier feeling about the show, because people were coming after this season. We're talking about how some of these some of the treatment of these people to each other on the season was pretty bad. And if Love is Blind is veering into, like, what do you call it? I don't know, something like an MTV show, one of those like I'm a Single Teen Mom, that kind of vibe, or even Jersey Shore, I think it's going to lose a lot of people. The thing about the film is the show is the premise of people have to buy into this idea that these people actually want to find love. And I think what people have been sensing and accusing the show of is that some people are going on there to boost their social media profiles to get themselves a career, because we've seen, especially over the last 2 seasons, how some of these people have turned the appearances on the show or the seasons on the show into massive Instagram followings and turn that into living their lives. Like I was watching somebody the other day, two women who have a podcast. Oh, Ed's not Zeneb, because Zeneb was the one that was super unstable. Who's the other one of the other ones? She and another girl, they both have a podcast. They were on Love is Blind. They have a podcast now where they talk about the experiences and they talk about dating. And so they parlayed their fame on Love is Blind into a bunch of sponsors. They do promotions. They essentially live their life doing promotions as influencers, and then they started a podcast. So they never have to actually work at a brick and mortar place for the rest of their lives. They actually just have to do this. So some people see this, and although they're trying to tell people that it is not an intention for these people to go on the show, it clearly is something that people see as a possibility when they come on the show. So you have to wonder if they're really weeding out the right people who are not going to use this to uplift themselves, because eventually that is going to become something that gets hung on this show, and then that, I think, will drown the show. It'll be an albatross or a concrete block that drowns the show in the end, because we want to kind of believe that these people want to find, yes, of course we watch for the drama, we watch for the discussions, the disagreements, but we also watch kind of remembering what it's like to be in a dating situation, when you're flirting, when you're asking these questions, when you're figuring each other out. But if in the end it leads to some pretty bad stuff down the road, some mental health issues, which we won't know, right? We won't know if there's any trauma that's related to some of these shows, and will they let it get out? I don't know. And already there have been people who've been lobbying lawsuits that explain what goes on in the show and how much mistreatment, according to them, happens to these people on the show, and how little sleep they get during the week, which can affect your judgment, affect your approach. So it's pretty crazy to see this kind of stuff overall here in this show. So we'll see in the end what the end result is, but I am happy for Amy and Johnny. I thought it was great to see them as well. I thought Sarah Ann came off as someone who is clearly has a lot of issues, and she's going to do things her way one way or another. And Jeramey seems to meet her at that level, and it's no surprise to me that they keep breaking up again together as Chelsea. I do think what's his name, Trevor came in. I thought Trevor was the weakest of them all, coming in and just being like, hey, I had something prepared, but I don't know what to say now. Really? Because you had a lot to say in those pods, motherfucker. You had a lot to say at that barbecue as well. A lot of judgment, a lot of condemnation. You seem to be really good with your words, and now all of a sudden you're speechless because you're getting called out. Nah, son, you got to take the hits, stay there the whole time, and deal with it. So I kind of was upset that he left the way he did. But Chelsea and Jimmy, there have been picked videos of them on TikTok, so maybe they're still together in some way, shape, or form down in Florida, doing the things that they're doing. I did like Laura. I was a big fan of Laura coming in and dropping her hammers. Man, I'm gonna follow Laura if she's on social media, and I would love to get an interview with her on the show on the Outlaw Nation. It'd be a lot of fun to hear from her. And then AD got nothing but championing AD in her journey as she finds the right man for her. And I hope she embraces her self-worth a bit more going forward, because I would love to see AD end in a good relationship. And Clay, I was impressed by Clay by the end, the therapy stuff. Let's hope he's getting the right therapy that's going to get him into the right place, so he's going to be a good partner for someone down the road. So, I like that. I like that situation. And Jess going on the match. We'll see if she finds somebody there when it's all over. But yeah, I don't wish. I mean, Jeramey can go take a flying leap for all I care. I don't really care about Jeramey, and I hope Jimmy figures it out too, because I think Jimmy is a good person. But yeah, I agree with you guys. He doesn't say what he needs to say in those moments, and he says it later. So he's just one of those guys that maybe takes a little bit longer to process stuff. And there are people like that. And so unfortunately, it can be frustrating to watch them or deal with them sometimes. And so maybe that's an issue that Jimmy might be confronting here as he goes along with all of this. And then you guys heard my thoughts on Kenneth and Brittany. I think I know what's going on there. Brittany is clear. I mean, it seems to be like Kenneth might be in the closet, doesn't want to come out of the closet. And there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, everyone's got their journey in their own place. And maybe he just wants to wait until the right time. And maybe he didn't want to out himself on national television in this kind of a situation. And as a principal in a school, we don't know. We know how it's going on in some of these areas of the South, some of these red state MAGA areas of the South, where they get upset about anybody being a member of the LGBTQ community. And certainly seeing how they're calling teachers groomers now for daring to tell or teach, equality and everything like that, and not hate, and not use the Bible as a source to spread that hate. So maybe he was afraid of losing his job. So the fact that they're talking every day and she's calling him at work, that tells me that maybe he's her gay bestie and they haven't even come out yet. Or possibly there are these amazing friends, like with Jimmy having two female friends that are very big and a part of his life. And we hope that kind of works out for Jimmy and those two girls who were, of course, one of them being super upset about getting outed in that way. I do think Chelsea's at fault with that. I don't think the cop out of the cameras and all of that is enough to cover. I think she knew what she was doing, and they laid off of her because she's taken a lot of shit on social media. But there were legitimate situations there where she was doing some crazy shit and saying some crazy stuff and affecting Jimmy and reading into stuff, and her insecurity was overwhelming Jimmy. And so I think she was rightly called out on it. Now, did some of it get toxic, get to be too much? Of course, I didn't monitor all of it, but I think it was fair to call her out on her insecurities. And I hope she gets the help she needs for that, because no matter what she shows everybody else, a strong, confident, independent woman, what we saw with Jimmy is what she really is. And that's inside there in relationships. And clearly you can be very confident in your work life, but in your personal life, you can have a lot of insecurities that can cripple you in those situations. So hopefully she's finding that work. No matter how much she crows about how confident she is, we know we saw what we saw in the show, and there are some things to work out. And hopefully she gets that the work that she needs to go through that. I've been there. I've been massively insecure. I've made other people pay for my insecurities and past relationships in my 20s and 30s because I had such low self-esteem and low insecurity that I thought, once I got with them, because I was very good at getting people to be with me in a relationship, but once I got in the relationship, I was always super paranoid that I was going to lose it, because I always thought I wasn't enough, and they would find out I wasn't enough and they would leave me, so I was always paranoid about it. And I put people through some pretty long conversations, some drawn out emotional conversations, just like Chelsea did. So I know what it's like to be that type of stuff with Chelsea. And the only way out, in my opinion, because of my experience, is therapy and finding out where and pinpointing where that moment happened, where this whole thing sprung from. And that's what I ended up doing. And it ended up saving my life and changing my life. So those things are positives that you can take out of a situation like this for sure. So hopefully we will see that with Chelsea down the road. And let's see what else. Is there anything else? I think that's everything. With them, good to see the other couples coming back. That was a lot of fun. They did gloss over the Megan Fox thing, which I thought was kind of surprising. So I mean, if you can rake Sarah Ann and other people over the coast, you can't rake her over the Megan Fox thing. But she played it off well, saying it was an offhand comment, and she's right. It was an offhand comment. Because for the record, I don't think she looks anything like Megan Fox, but it was an offhand comment, and she said it. And unfortunately, the internet people are going to grab one thing and run with it. So, but she played it off really well, and I hope she is over it. We will see. All right, well, there we go. I don't watch Perfect Match, so Love Is Blind is my only guilty pleasure. Everything else, if I watch a reality show, it's Amazing Race, but I do not watch reality shows. It's just that I like Love Is Blind. There's a guilty pleasure in that because I've been through a lot of relationships in my life and I've learned a lot, and the therapy taught me a lot. So to me, it's like an interesting experiment to watch people at certain stages of their lives and see things that I did reflected back at me and go, oh man, if only this person could do this or they'd do that, because I'm seeing now, of course, with hindsight, what that situation like. So I love Love Is Blind for that, or I enjoy Love Is Blind for that. So, but yeah, let me know if you want me to do more stuff with the next season of Love Is Blind. I took a chance tonight. It's amazing that 120 of you all are hanging out with me. I really didn't think anyone would hang out. I just felt like watching it live on the show and doing some content today. So I appreciate you all hanging out. Please hit a like on the video. If you're new to this channel, subscribe to the channel down below. Let me know if you want me to do some Love Is Blind recaps every week when the new season pops up. I would love to do it. I've always been kind of afraid to do it because I didn't know if people would watch. So if you're interested in it, let me know down there. Remember to follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Oh, and did I have any Streamlabs or Super Chat? Sorry. Wiley. Thank you, Wiley. Wiley said support. Thank you, Wiley. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you, brother, man. And yeah, nothing else that came through. So if you are watching later, and if you'd like to send in some support for this live watch along, hit the thanks button and send in your support there. All right. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. You're the best. We got Cinephiles coming up this weekend. We got Geek Buddy stuff coming up a couple of days. And the Hot Mic goes live at noon tomorrow, 12 p.m. PT tomorrow. The Hot Mic, not 4 p.m., 12 p.m. PT, because I will be on ATG Around the Galaxy live. I will be live with them tomorrow, I think at 3 p.m., 3:15 p.m., something like that, hanging out with them, talking Star Wars. So come and hang out with us when we do that as well. But the Hot Mic at 12 p.m. and then Geek Buddies on Friday for sure. All right, you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight. Thanks to Cheryl, who has been my Love Is Blind shall I say, Love Is Blind work wife with this stuff. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And you guys are awesome. And take care of yourselves. Be well. And if this show teaches you anything and you're thinking of going into therapy, I can't recommend it enough. And hopefully you come out the other side in a better place. If you're dealing with anything in your life, please feel free to do that. I encourage you strongly to do that. All right. Love you guys. Thanks. Take care of yourselves. Have a great evening. And I'll talk to you next time with another live watch along or episode here, or show rather, here on the Outlaw Nation. Peace.